Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Jim Reads Too Slow. I'm Jim, and a belated Happy New Year to everyone. The month is half over, and this is my first video of 2023. So, of course, I've slacked off again, but I've been super busy at work. And one of the last things I've wanted to do is come home and sit down in front of electronics some more. So I apologize, but you know how it is. But I did want to get on just briefly and talk about what I have been up to so far this year. And the first thing I want to mention is that I finished Cory Doctorow's Little Brother. I got it here somewhere to hold up. Little Brother. This is the first book that I've read entirely in 2023. And first impressions are that I liked it. I did get into the story. I'm happy to be part of the New World Science Fiction Book Club. It's a brand new book club, and this is our first selection. It's a near future dystopian YA novel about an American city that is turned into a police state after a terrorist attack. So there's a terrorist attack on San Francisco that kills thousands of people. Okay, it's the largest terrorist attack on American soil to date. Now, that's the basis of the story. And a 17-year-old named Marcus and his friends, who have skipped school the day that this event takes place, they're caught up in the aftermath as Homeland Security moves in to take charge, round people up, and generally treat everyone that they meet roughly. Marcus and his friends are just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they find themselves with bags over their heads being transported to a secret prison near San Francisco. Once they're released, which I think is a little unrealistic, to be honest, they're faced with a decision. Do they stand by and watch the Constitution get shredded, or do they stand up and fight? Now, Marcus is a talented, quick-witted, it turns out very idealistic computer geek. So, of course, with all that and the fact that he's the protagonist of the story, he's going to fight back. The good guys are mostly teens, with a few, very few adults thrown in, adults who understand that history is a real thing, and that you don't trust the government. The bad guys are federal forces, right-wing educators, and a few traitorous teenagers. People like Charles, who I assume is still zip-tied to a lamppost somewhere in San Francisco. I ought to say, though, that Doctorow is kind of preaching to the choir with me on some of the issues that he touches on. I think they're relevant today, and they're things that we all ought to be thinking about. For example, privacy. We do have a right to keep things to ourselves. What really irritates me is when people say things like, well, if you've got nothing to hide, it shouldn't bother you when the government wants to rummage through your emails. You shouldn't need encryption if you're not guilty of anything. No, we all have a right to privacy. In this story, San Francisco is turned into a police state in the name of anti-terrorism and security. But the people who are hurt most by this are the people who most willingly give up their civil rights in the name of security, because there really isn't any increase in security. It's just an increase in government control. And I think we're pretty close to that now, or we could be. And I get what some readers of this book have said that they dislike about it. It is a little preachy, and it can be kind of sappy. And the author does tend to go on with some of his descriptions and explanations. And the whole don't trust anyone over 25 because it's only the kids who know what's really going on and how to fix it. That can get a little much. But it is a YA book, and some YA things are to be expected. So I kind of I roll with it a little bit, and I did enjoy it. I don't want to go too deep into the story, just in case there are some who are still reading it. But suffice it to say, overall, I did like the book, and I would recommend it. So after that, in other reading, and I should say that I'm so far managing to compartmentalize my reading fairly well this month. Number one, I just finished the first part of Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. Got this wonderful edition. The Michael Katz, complete with the Donahue blurb on the cover. It's a little too early, I think, to weigh in on what I think of it or to give any kind of, in-depth comments about it, just except to say that it is holding my interest, and I do intend on sticking with it. It's I'm really getting into the story. And number two, I don't know, can you see that? Maybe not. I'm a little over halfway through this book, Midshipman, Mr. Midshipman Hornblower by C.S. Forster. It's the first book chronologically in the Horatio Hornblower series. Mark over at Richardson Reads and Faith at Faith in Books. They're reading all of the Hornblower series in 2023 in chronological order, one book per month, starting with this one here in January. And I just thought I'd jump on board. It sounded kind of fun. I don't have much of a background in seafaring adventures, I guess. So far, though, it's been a fun read. And I've been pretty lucky about finding these books in my local used bookstores. So I'm good at least through April, and hopefully I'll be able to pick up the rest of them too. And then I'm well into Space Lash by Hal Clement. Get a good, yeah, there we go. Space Lash by Hal Clement. This is my January read for Hal for the holidays. An event created, of course, by Brandy at the Booklectic. As you know, well, maybe you don't know, but I have been kind of out of it for the last several weeks. And I think a demonstration of that is the fact that I was well into the second story in this book, Space Lash, before I realized, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. That it's a book of short stories and not just one continuous novel. So that's a reminder that sometimes it's wise to do a little homework rather than just grab the first book off the top of the stack and start reading. So there's that. And finally, number 4, my wife and I are a little over halfway through Jane Eyre. This is a reread for me, and this is her first run through of the book. I'm trying to keep from answering her questions, giving away the spoilers as we go through. But we're having a good time reading it together, so I'm really enjoying it. So that is where I'm at right now. I'm just going to keep reading what I'm reading. Hope you do the same. Hope you're having a good, your month is good as far as your reading. If you've read any of the books that I've mentioned and enjoyed them, please let me know. And until next time, have a good one, BookTube.